Eyes closed.
Oh,
Hands wide. You ready?
sure.
Next time. It's so great to have you all back with us today. I'm your host, Jacob, and we have a very special guest.
Jayden.
I know you, but for the viewers who don't know you, just let us know a little bit about your upbringing, basically just your life up until now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was born into like a Christian home. We didn't really have a home church up until I was in about grade 7. Is actually one of my sister's best friends who brought us here. She wanted to learn. She had cancer, and she wanted to learn about God a little bit more before she passed away. So they just Googled whatever church was closest to their house, and we ended up going back with them, and I've been coming here since then. So, and yeah,
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
And then, getting into SPAC and everything. Where'd you go to high school?
Yeah, so for the longest time, I actually grew up in Mill Woods. That's where my family lived, so we would always drive to church. And then in grade 10, I went to Austin O'Brien, which is a Catholic high school in Edmonton. I went there, but it was right during COVID. So my sister had asthma, and my grandparents were living with me. So my mom ended up pulling me out of school, and I did online school for all of grade 10, which was a pretty rough experience, and I didn't really enjoy it. And then we moved, and we were trying to figure out whether I wanted to keep going to AOB for grade 11 or whether I'd come to SEA. And it made more sense to go to SEA so that my mom could drive me and my sister at the same time. So, and I didn't really have any friends at Austin O'Brien because I was online for the whole first year. So I came to SEA, and I was here for grade 11 and 12.
What was that switch like between coming to a new school, especially Christian school?
Yeah, it was actually really like kind of different, just because like coming out of COVID and out of being in online school, I lost a lot of my confidence. So it was really hard like trying to talk with people. But one thing that really helped was I was attending youth here since like grade 8. So I knew a lot of people and friends from youth. So when I came here, I had people that I knew. I didn't know them super well. I only saw them like once a week. But there was somebody, and I was pretty quiet for a while. But over time, the atmosphere was so nice. It was a smaller school, so you kind of get to know everybody.
Yeah.
And I've made a lot of really close friends while I was there. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Going through high school up until grad, do you feel like there was something significant that your faith or God was pulling you towards?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, like right in between grade 11 and 12 was when I decided to actually go into ministry. And before that, I was really set on being a biological engineer.
That sounds really smart.
Yeah, I love science.
What do they do?
They make artificial organs and like vaccines and stuff. And I thought it was really cool. My neighbor was a biological engineer growing up, and like he was getting money given to him by the Calgary government, and he'd like inject like steroids into bees so they could like live longer, and because it was like the whole bee problem with like save the bees. So he was like injecting and creating like steroid bees. So
I was like jacked bees.
Yeah, and they were like living and really good. So he like it was cool, and I was like, that is so cool. And then I was also like, you know how cool it would be to like design an artificial organ of like a heart that you just like make in a lab, or like prosthetic arms of like they also work on like, so like if you lose your arm, like building an arm for you. I was like, that seems so cool to do.
And it's even like that thought of like being able to go into something where you're like giving life.
Yeah, and it was really cool to like be able to like help people, or like, oh wow, like could I one day find a cure for cancer?
Yeah.
And like that was just something of like, whoa, like there's so many things, and like I just thought it was really cool of like I want to do engineering because I love science and math. But I was like, I don't know what type of engineering, and I'm like, I don't want to build bridges or like.
I would never want to build a bridge.
No, building a bridge, no. I feel like you have to build. They have like 4 years, and it's a mediocre bridge.
Just a mediocre bridge.
Just a bridge.
So God calls you into ministry, and what does that feel like to you?
Yeah, it was actually a really like odd process of like during grade 11, I was kind of realizing like I still loved science. Like physics was my favorite course I took in high school. For me, it just made sense in my head, and like because of that, it was like in a sense like the easiest course I took, which is really weird saying like physics 30 was the easiest course I took in high school. But it was just like in my head that made sense. But I was like realizing of like I really like being around people. I like helping people, and I'm like I don't want to be in a lab somewhere by myself. And I
Yeah.
was kind of like getting that prompting of like okay, like I want to do something with people, but I don't know what I want to do. And then like during that time was like was around the time Jamie came to SPAC and started helping out with SPAC Youth, and I ended up actually getting to go on a mission trip with them to Green Bay Bible Camp, and we got to hang out and lead their day camps and just hang out with kids and like do leading and stuff. And I was like, Jamie has to have the coolest job I've ever heard of in my entire life. He's like hanging out with a bunch of like teenagers, like doing day camps and like swimming in the Okanagan every night. I'm like, this is like everyone's dream job. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is like insane. And then I was like, wow, like I wish I could do that. And then I was like, wait, like I was like, well, what does it look like to do that? And then like I started like talking to Jamie of like, hey, like what does it actually look like to go into ministry? And like it was a lot of I had lots of conversations with Jamie about it of like, what does it look like, or like, how do I know that like this is the right step, or like stuff like that. So then I started looking at Vanguard, but like even then, like I had a bunch of like worries because like for the longest time, like my goal, my plan for life was to get my biological engineering degree, or I don't know what it actually is anymore. I can't remember, but get my engineering degree, specialize in biological engineering, start working, make a bunch of money, buy a bunch of cool cars, live
Yeah.
in a house. And I was like, that sounds like super cool. But then I was like looking at like, okay, like how does that work? Of that's what I kind of structured my life around, was like getting good grades, trying to be as smart as possible, get as much experience so that I can get a really good job, buy a bunch of cool things, and like have a family and hang out. And then I was like, okay, well, like that's not what like pastors are not exactly known for making huge amounts of money.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like I was just like, okay, well, like what does that look like? And like the more I talked about it, the more I realized I was like if I have 4 quads, 5 cars, and like a huge house, I'm like it doesn't really matter in like the long term. And like talking with Jamie about that and like all of that, and then just I felt like more called to like I still finished all of my high school stuff of like I took physics 30, I took bio 30, like I prepared all of that stuff, but I only applied to one college. I've applied to
Do you
Vanderbilt.
feel like when you graduated, you knew where you wanted that next step to be?
I did. Like I knew I wanted to go to Vanguard, but I was really unsure about it of like,
Yeah.
is this actually what I'm supposed to do? And like I felt like called to it, and I have felt lots of people like reaffirming that calling in my life.
Awesome.
But it was still like very intimidating to actually like all my friends are going to U of A and Concordia and like even King's, and like I'm going to this little tiny Bible school.
Okay,
And
so tell us a little bit about Vanguard, how many years you've been there, I guess why you wanted to go there, and then just how it's been currently.
yeah, so at first I was like really trying to decide whether I wanted to go to Vanguard or Briarcrest, just because at first I was really leaning towards Briarcrest because my mom did her degree there, and I had some friends that were going there. But the ultimate decision why I didn't want to go there was because it's in Saskatchewan and I didn't want to be away from my family. So because of that, I didn't do that. I just knew that Kiara and Jamie both went to Vanguard, and it was nice and close. So we went and saw it, and it's very small. Like, there's
Yeah.
only like 100 to 150 students in person. So like you kind of know everyone.
Yeah.
But it's really cool, and like I just really like the environment. I felt like, in a sense, I felt like comfortable there, felt welcome. So I just really felt like that would be the step. And then once I got there, it was just so much of like reaffirming of like, even though I didn't know anyone coming in, God really put people in my life to like get comfortable and build me up and stuff. And some of
Yeah.
my closest friends have been from there. So.
How many years have you been there?
I've been there. I've completed 3 years there. I'm going into my 4th year, which will be my last year there as I finish up my degree. And then I'm currently in a bachelor's degree of theology, but specializing in next generation ministries, so kids and youth.
So going into Vanguard, going into ministry, what does ministry mean to you?
That was something like that I talked a lot about with Jamie, of like asking him like, what does it mean for him to be a pastor, or like stuff like that. And like I've really like changed how I thought about it like over time, and like as I'm getting more experience. But like Jamie really said something like very impactful to me, which was like that like being a pastor is not like a 9 to 5 job. Like you don't like in a sense, like you don't actually clock out, but like you don't like finish your day, go home, and once you get home, you're not a pastor anymore.
Yeah.
It's like it's something that like really transforms all aspects of your life. So like you can be at home and get a text from someone who's really struggling, and you can like you want to help. So like it's something of like you're fully committing your life to serving God and His people in whatever ways that looks like, whether that's like meeting with people for coffee or going to visit people in the hospital or like, and like even just like in a sense, like ministry is not necessarily like within the walls of a church either. It's like ministry is also hanging out with my friend who's not a Christian, who's having a hard time because he just got like into a breakup or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's something that's like like so much bigger than just like pastoring.
Yeah.
So,
it's not defined by walls.
no, yeah, it's like it really like takes over all aspects of your life, and it's something of like you just are kind of giving all of yourself to God, and like in the same way that like, and you also don't need to be a pastor to be ministering. Like you can
totally.
be fully ministering within. Like if I was a biological engineer and I decided, like, or like I felt called, okay, God, like I just finished my Bible college degree. You're actually calling me back to engineering, and I did that. I have full confidence that like God can use me to minister to people through biological engineering, and
Yeah.
like no matter what, like if you're called to be a mom or a dad or like to just a race car driver
Exactly.
or like construction worker, like you can do whatever and like still.
Yeah, I think that's been something really big on my heart lately is like your purpose is to love God, to follow God, to live by His accordance. Whatever you do outside of that, whether you're a nurse, a parent,
Yeah.
whether it's a job or some social structure, your calling, your purpose is to follow God, believe in God, and everything else is almost just an addition, just a place for you
Yeah.
to like live that out.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's so cool. You talk a lot about how other people impacted you through their faith and through
Yeah.
their experience. Is there something in particular that someone said to you or someone's done that's resonated with you? And if so, how have you brought that into your own practice?
Yeah, like at Vanguard, like we get so much good advice from like from so many of our professors. But I would say like I just finished taking a class which was called Pastoral Life. And it's the president of Vanguard teaches this class where he explains, and it's kind of a class where he talks about like, okay, like these are practical steps of like what it means to be a pastor and how to live that out like beyond your life. And like in a sense, like it's not just for pastors, but it's like how to be a devoted and fully in for God throughout like all aspects of your life. And like he just shared so many different like stories and examples of like how you need to be like so like the biggest thing for me that I'm like realizing is like you're gonna screw up so many times, but it's kind of about how you people around you are honest, you confess, like just kind of go into like not try to hide your sin or like bring that away, but like not lean into it, but lean into people around you. And like we have something called spiritual direction at Vanguard, and that's something that at first, I'm gonna be completely honest, I did not like it at all. I was like, why do I have to go into a room? And like it was something we had to do, so we have to do 3 sessions per semester. And I was like, this sucks. I have to go get like therapy from a guy who's not a therapist for 3 times. And then I like realized like it's just like him helping and like guiding you to like, okay, like this is something that you're struggling with, or like, hey, you're struggling to connect with God in this way. Okay, but what's some other ways we can help you connect with God? Because like to sum all that long part up into one kind of sentence is I've had lots of friends say this and professors, so I can't pinpoint it to one person, but it's like the habits and relationship you build with God while you're in school is something that's going to shape a lot of your life outside. So like right now when you have the time of like, okay, I wake up, I go to school, okay, I go home and I have like a little bit of chill time. That's like, if I can commit and like live for God when it's easy and when I have more time, then once I get into ministry and like I already have that relationship built, I can just keep growing it and like
Yeah, exactly.
doing that. So that's something that I've been feeling like convicted by, but also just like continuing to try to strive towards.
Yeah.
And like spiritual direction was something of like really talking and like being like, yeah, like this is a very important and developmental period within your life. So like how you use your time and how you spend your time and like connect with God is something that's actually gonna completely like shape the rest of your life and your ministry.
Yeah, I think of what somebody told me, and it was just like coming to church, coming to work, They just view that as something they enjoy. It's not them coming into a job. I think it's the same no matter what profession you're in, no matter if you even have a job. Just if you have those habits where you want to spend time with God, you want to come to church, you want to pray, that these things are already just evident in your life through habit and not through work and not through something where you have to necessarily like pick it up to like fit in.
Yeah.
So how would you feel if there is a difference for you in your life, or if there's ever been a struggle between finding that balance between I'm like working in ministry, whether that's working at the church or doing stuff like volunteering, and then this is also my own faith. Like this is my own walk. I'm not doing this for anybody else but me and God.
Yeah, like that's like something that like I've really like tried to figure out of like, especially like being at Bible college, it's very easy sometimes to be like, okay, I'm reading my Bible for this assignment, or like to look at it of like, okay, I need to get this many volunteer hours for one of my classes. And like it was something of like you have really to like there's times where like there is times where I'm like, okay, like I'm really like feeling unmotivated and I don't want to have to like, I'm really tired, I just want to go home and sleep. I don't want to just come to youth and stay at youth for the whole night. But it's something of like once you like I feel like a lot of that is perspective of like looking at it of like, okay, this is something I enjoy doing so much. So like for youth, so many, like I would say 8 out of 10 youth nights I leave feeling more filled than I did coming in. And that's something of like I feel that actually like fills me inside. But then at the same time it's also something of like you also need to pour into your own personal and like independent spiritual life as well, of like just like trying to encounter God and pray, and like even just like bringing him into like the mundane and like the things that kind of are not that fun. And that was something where I saw like the biggest difference was when I started like trying to pray and bring God into all areas of my life. Like and the biggest thing I did to do this, which I'm planning, I need to do this again, and it's something that I found really helpful, and I don't know why I stopped doing it, but I'm going to start doing it again, is I set a bunch of random alarms on my phone. I just scroll through and be like, that's a weird time, set an alarm. Weird time, set an alarm. And then like, for example, like there's like, I work at Rona as a part-time job, and like for while I'm in school. And there's times where I'd be like helping a guy, and then all of a sudden, ding, like my alarm go off, I just turn it off, put it back in my pocket. Once I'd finish like helping with him, like I'd just be like, okay, like God, like you're not like only with me when I'm reading my Bible, or only with me when I'm at school or at church. Like you're with me right now helping out a random grandma in this hardware store. And then like once they leave, I just be like, okay, like God, like thank you for like being here with me and like giving me the opportunity to be able to like use my skills and experience, even though it's not like ministry related, to like just like be a kind soul in this person's life, and then just like praying for them. And that was something of like, okay, like God isn't okay, like it's like, okay, I wake up, I go to the gym, okay, God's not in the gym. And then I get to school, okay, God's with me now. And then I leave school and I go out for lunch with my friends, okay, God's not there anymore. And then I come back to school, have school, okay, God's with me. And then I don't do anything, or like I do something random until youth, and then I go to youth and God's with me again. It's like, no, like when I wake up and I'm driving to the gym, like God is with me whether I want to choose to spend time with him or not. And it's something of just like trying to recognize like, okay, like God and like preparing for ministry and just like spending time with God is going to be all areas of my life of like I can choose to listen to music and just listen to a podcast in my car, or I can choose to turn off my music and encounter God and like spend time with him. Or even just like acknowledging like, hey, like God, just please protect me during this workout and like allow me to glorify you through it and stuff like that. So
I think like working in a church, it's really easy to show up on a weekend and be like, I'm working for God, I'm doing something big, like someone's going to talk to me. Or even if someone like does come and talk to you, you think like, oh man, I'm at the church, like I'm doing good for God. And then you leave and it's like you're on the train, or like you're on the bus, or you're someone's cashier and you're talking to them, and you think to yourself, I'm just a regular person. Now I'm just kind of talking to them. Now I'm just like in my street clothes, like it doesn't really matter.
I switched.
But at the same time, it's really special when you can see that they're not two sides. Like they're always one. If you are like living for God, there's always like anything that really encounters you is from him. And I think it's just so cool that there's so many things that happen in our lives that we'll never know the outcome. Like, we'll never know like how it impacted somebody. We like help somebody like find something like at Rona,
Yeah.
and they're like, go home, and they're like, oh, that guy was like so sweet helping me. For us, it's just like same old. Like I've done it 10 times today.
Yeah.
But for somebody else's path, it really affects them. So
And like even like this morning, like when me and you were working out, we were talking about like big prayers and stuff, and like there's so many times where like you like sometimes like you pray for a person, you're like, okay, maybe I should pray for this person. Like there's people I've prayed for where I have no clue their name, I've never seen them ever again.
Yeah.
And like it's like okay, like just because I don't know this person is like God's like to just trust that like God's gonna use that for something, and like even though like I don't know the exact reference, but like it talks about like in the Bible like sowing seeds that you do not harvest. Like you're like planting and like preparing seeds that like someone else is gonna harvest down the road of like okay, like yeah, I've was nice and I mentioned church to this person, but they may go to a different church and go see a different pastor and then fall in love with God, and like that doesn't mean that like the work I do is in vain. Like it's bringing them to the Lord. So
yeah, and that's so cool.
yeah.
Well, it was awesome to hear from you today. It was awesome to have you here today. I'm sure that your words are going to resonate with many people. Thank you.
Yeah. No, handshake.
Oh, handshake, sorry. Goodbye.